Japan, a land of ancient traditions, forgotten spirits, and cemeteries where the line between the living and the dead dissolves. 10. Kubizuka, Headmound Cemetery of the Taira clan. Welcome to the heart of Tokyo, a world of glass and steel where one ancient shrine guards a terror that financial titans dare not disturb. This is the Kubizuka, or Headmound, the resting place of a furious, headless warrior whose wrath is as potent today as it was 1,000 years ago. The man whose spirit reigns here was Taira no Masakado, a powerful samurai lord from the Heian period. In 939 AD, he committed the ultimate act of rebellion, declaring himself the new emperor of Japan. His revolt was swiftly crushed, and his head was severed and brought to the capital in Kyoto to be displayed as a gruesome warning. But the story didn't end with his death. Legend says Masakado's severed head remained unnervingly fresh for months, its eyes unblinking. Then, it suddenly flew away, soaring across Japan, his face twisted in a perpetual scowl of vengeance. It finally crashed to earth in the small village of Shibasaki, which is now the bustling financial district of Otemachi in modern Tokyo. The local villagers, terrified, built a mound and a shrine to appease the Onryo, the vengeful spirit, believing the samurai's undying rage would plague the land. The hauntings of Kubizuka are less about ghostly apparitions and more about catastrophic curses. In 1923, after the Great Kanto earthquake destroyed the Ministry of Finance building near the mound, officials attempted to level the Kubizuka to rebuild. Immediately, the Minister of Finance and over a dozen employees connected to the project died, suddenly and mysteriously. In 1945, after World War II, the American occupation force tried to convert the site into a parking lot. A bulldozer inexplicably flipped over, killing the operator, leading to a public outcry that forced the Americans to abandon the project. To this day, the towering office buildings surrounding the Kubizuka are designed so that no window faces down upon the small, humble stone monument, an unspoken deference to the spirit of the rebel who is said to protect, or curse, the land beneath his severed head. 9. Tamagawa Cemetery, Tokyo. Sprawled across the western edge of the metropolis, Tamagawa Cemetery, or Tama-Rayan, is the largest municipal cemetery in all of Japan, a city of the dead that rivals the city of the living. It is a place of serene, sweeping paths, and the final rest for an extraordinary concentration of national icons, from writers to military admirals. But in a space of this magnitude, the spirits of the ordinary and the tragically departed are said to overwhelm the silent dignity of the famous. Established in 1923, the cemetery was born out of Tokyo's need for space. A sprawling, modern garden cemetery designed to be a place of quiet reflection. Its history is tied to major 20th century events, most notably the Second World War. Tamagawa's calm was brutally broken during the war. Portions of the ground were used by the Japanese military, and the cemetery itself was strafed by American planes. Bullet holes still mark some of the structures, a permanent reminder of its violent past. This infusion of sudden, traumatic death is what many believe anchors a thick, unsettling spiritual energy to the site. Visitors and night watchmen have long reported a pervasive, heavy atmosphere, a feeling of being watched from every angle as they walk the labyrinthine paths. More chilling are the scattered reports of hitodama, or will-o'-the-wisps, spectral fireballs that are said to be the lost souls of the dead, hovering just above the ground. The most poignant hauntings are tied to the cemetery's vastness. The feeling of a cold breath on the back of the neck in areas far from any living soul, or the faint echoing sound of unseen footsteps following closely behind a late-night visitor. A desperate, lost soul seeking guidance out of the infinite stone maze. 8. Rakudo no Tsuji Cemetery, Kyoto. In the ancient city of Kyoto lies a legendary crossroads known as Rakudo no Tsuji, the crossing of the six paths. This small, sacred area is not just a cemetery. It is an undeniable, spiritual boundary, historically considered the very gate to the Buddhist underworld. For over 1,000 years during the Heian period, the Rakudo no Tsuji was the point of no return. Common practice was kazisu, or wind burial, where bodies were simply abandoned on the nearby Toribeno Hills. Mourners would bring the deceased to this crossroads for their final farewell before the body was left to the elements. The air was perpetually thick with the stench of decay and scattered bones, a literal and spiritual borderland. A well in the nearby Rokudo Chinoji Temple is even rumored to be a personal portal used by a Heian-era court official who would work as a judge for King Yama, the ruler of hell, by night. The most famous tale is that of the Kosadata Yurai, the child-raising ghost. In 1599, the owner of a candy shop near the crossroads began to receive a pale woman in the dead of night, purchasing millet jelly with 3 1-mon coins. Every morning, the coins had mysteriously turned into fallen leaves. Suspicious, the shopkeeper followed her one night, watching her vanish into the cemetery. Digging at the spot, they unearthed the casket of a recently deceased pregnant woman. Inside, they found her dead body and a newborn baby boy, alive and licking the millet jelly from the mother's lips. The woman's ghost had been crossing the boundary to feed the child she gave birth to in the grave. Though the ghost candy shop still sells its sweets today, the crossroads remains a site of profound unease. Visitors report intense cold spots even on warm days, and the sound of distant echoing whispers and sobs. The lingering, disquieted cries of the thousands of souls who pass through the Rokudo no Tsuji on their final, unceremonious journey. 7. Sendai's Site of the 1,000 Graves, Miyagi. Miyagi Prefecture, the heart of the Tohoku region, is a land forever marked by tragedy. Though specific historical records are often lost to time and disaster, the site known only as the 1,000 Graves of Sendai is a powerful testament to mass, sudden death, and a chilling nexus for the spectral activity that haunts the coast. The very name, 1,000 Graves, suggests a tragic, historical mass burial, likely a hastily dug plot from a period of great upheaval, perhaps famine, disease, or the violent samurai battles that swept the region during the feudal era. It existed as a quiet, somber spot, a place where the cumulative suffering of uncounted, nameless souls pressed down upon the land. The spiritual power of this region was dramatically amplified by the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake and tsunami. The city of Sendai and the surrounding coast were utterly devastated, resulting in the sudden traumatic loss of thousands of lives. The spirits of the victims, many lost to the sea, were left unmoored, their journey to the afterlife brutally interrupted. The hauntings around Sendai often blur the line between ancient folklore and modern tragedy. Taxi drivers in the Miyagi region have reported a terrifying phenomenon known as the ghost passenger. They pick up a young, often soaking wet person who requests a destination that was completely destroyed by the tsunami. When the driver looks back to collect the fare, the passenger is gone, leaving only a damp seat. At the site of the 1,000 Graves, a different phenomenon is reported. A thick, suffocating sensation of overwhelming grief and a visual distortion. A momentary flicker where the modern landscape seems to peel away, revealing a mass of pale, indistinct figures standing shoulder to shoulder, waiting in an eternal line for a proper, final journey that never came. 6. Kotsukapara Execution Grounds and Cemetery, Tokyo. Stand near Minami Senju Station in Tokyo, and you are standing on sacred, blood-soaked ground. This is the Kotsukapara Execution Grounds, one of the 3 great execution sites of the Edo Shogunate, a place of state-sanctioned, industrial-scale horror where between 100,000 and 200,000 people met a violent end. Established in 1651, Kotsukapara was a place of unspeakable cruelty for over 2 centuries. Condemned criminals, anti-government conspirators, and political enemies were brought here to face a variety of terrible fates, including crucifixion, boiling, burning, and most commonly, decapitation. The bodies were not granted proper cremation. Many were left in shallow graves, their remains scattered by dogs, earning the connecting road the horrific nickname Street of Bones. The corpses were also infamously used by scholars for the first anatomical dissections in Japan. The countless, violently severed souls refused to find peace. The air over Kotsukapura was so saturated with death and spiritual contamination that the grounds were officially off limits to the general public. To pacify the overwhelming number of angry ghosts, a Jizo Bodhisattva statue, the protector of travelers and those in the underworld, was erected, which became known as the chilling Kubikiri Jizo, or beheading Jizo. Today, the site has been largely covered by railway tracks and the Enmeiji Temple, but the echoes of its past persist. Late at night, locals and train staff report hearing violent, blood-curdling screams and sobs from the vicinity of the old execution spot. Some claim to see fiery balls of light, the hitodama of the executed, hovering just above the rails where thousands were once slain. The most unnerving encounter is near the Kubikiri Jizo itself, where some visitors feel a distinct heavy pressure on their neck and an overwhelming palpable sense of the absolute terror and finality felt by the legions of prisoners who knelt before it for their final, brutal moment. 5. Hofu Tenman-gu Cemetery, Yamaguchi. High upon the hills of Hofu, in Japan's Yamaguchi Prefecture, sits one of the most powerful and unusual cemeteries in the nation. This is the Hofu Tenman-gu Cemetery, a site not merely haunted by sadness, but by the colossal furious energy of a deified vengeful spirit, who was transformed into the god of scholarship. The shrine and cemetery are dedicated to Sugawara no Mishizane, a brilliant scholar and politician of the Heian period. Due to court intrigue, he was unjustly exiled and died in bitter despair in 903 AD. Soon after his death, a series of catastrophic events, plagues, famines, and the deaths of his political rivals, swept the capital. The court was convinced these disasters were the doing of Mishizane's powerful Onryo, or vengeful ghost. To appease the raging spirit, the court quickly constructed a shrine to deify him, elevating him from a ghost to Tenjin, the god of learning. The cemetery grew up around this spot, designed to honor his transformed spirit and protect the land from further catastrophe. However, the history of his betrayal and despair forever imprinted a dark energy upon the hillside. The hauntings here are unique, less of a traditional apparition and more of a spiritual storm. Visitors often report an immediate and intense pressure upon entering the grounds, a feeling of being under spiritual interrogation by an unseen, brilliant mind. It's said that if you visit the ancient, isolated grave markers and harbor malice or ill will, you will be violently expelled by a sudden, invisible force. Most famously, there are persistent reports of ethereal, scholarly whispers in the dead of night, sounds of a pen scratching furiously on paper, and the faint, cold silhouette of a solitary, cloaked figure standing at the edge of the grounds, forever gazing back towards the capital that betrayed him. 4. Okunoin Cemetery, Mount Koya, Wakayama. Deep in the cedar forests of Mount Koya lies Okunoin, the most sacred and perhaps the most spiritually overwhelming cemetery in Japan. It is the destination of a 2-kilometer path lined by over 200,000 ancient tombstones, leading to the mausoleum of Kukai, the founder of Shingon Buddhism. This is not a place of death, but of eternal waiting. Kukai, also known as Kobo Daishi, entered eternal meditation in 835 AD. Rather than dying, his followers believe he entered Mujo, an unending state of spiritual concentration, and is still alive inside his mausoleum, perpetually waiting for the Buddha of the future to arrive. For over a millennium, people from all walks of life have chosen to be buried along the path leading to him, hoping to be close when the resurrection occurs. The atmosphere here is one of profound yet unsettling reverence. The cemetery is home to some truly bizarre monuments, including a memorial for employees of a pesticide company and a monument shaped like a coffee cup. But beneath the eccentricities lies a deep spiritual anxiety. No matter the rank or wealth of the person, they are all in suspended animation, waiting for a cosmic event that may never come. The main rule in Okunoin is never to look back once you cross the Gobyo Bridge toward Kukai's mausoleum. It is believed that if you look back, you will see a shadow or figure that is not a ghost of the deceased, but a messenger of the Buddha of the future, and seeing it will hasten your own death. Visitors also report the unnerving feeling of the invisible population, a certainty that thousands of unseen, perpetually meditating figures are around them in the dark. The most famous haunting is the Moroku stone. It's said if you can lift the heavy stone out of its well and carry it up the steps, you are pure of heart. But locals claim the stone's weight changes based on the sins of the person trying to lift it, often feeling impossibly heavy, a spiritual condemnation by the waiting dead. 3. Zoshigaya Cemetery, Tokyo. Tucked away in the quieter Toshima ward of Tokyo, Zoshigaya Cemetery offers a melancholy charm. Home to famous literary figures and thinkers, it is a serene place of reflection by day. But by night, the shadows gather and the stories of lost souls and dark romance emerge from beneath the ancient camphor trees. Established in the late 19th century, Zoshigaya was one of Tokyo's earliest modern cemeteries. Its history is tied closely to the Meiji Restoration, a period of massive social upheaval where old traditions clashed with new, Western ideas. This spiritual turmoil and the presence of many graves for poets and novelists who died young or in despair contributes to its deeply emotional atmosphere. The most famous tale here belongs to Takahisa Yumeji, a prominent Taisho-era painter known for his romantic, often melancholic portrayals of women. He is buried here, and his life was filled with tragic love affairs and deep melancholy. Many believe his sorrowful, passionate spirit remains trapped among the graves, searching for the women he lost. Zoshigaya is famous for the phenomenon of ghost cars, taxis that enter the grounds at night and drive erratically, only to vanish when approached. More personal and chilling are the encounters near the graves of the famous literary figures. Visitors report the spectral sighting of a young woman in a traditional kimono weeping near a tombstone, only to dissolve into mist when approached. This is often linked to the ghost of Yumeji's lost love, a figure eternally trapped in the sorrowful pursuit of a reunion. Perhaps the most disquieting incident involves the sudden sound of a music box playing a distorted, childlike tune from deep within the unlit pathways, a phenomenon often attributed to a child's grave and said to stop the moment a living person tries to locate its source. 2. Yanaka Cemetery, Tokyo. Nestled in the historic Yanaka district, this cemetery is a quiet, tree-filled oasis in a chaotic city, but it is also one of Tokyo's most notorious haunts. The Yanaka Cemetery is the final resting place of thousands of samurai, politicians, and artists, and their accumulated spiritual power makes for a genuinely unsettling experience. Yanaka was once the site of a sprawling Buddhist temple. During the Meiji period, the government decreed that the temple grounds be converted into a public cemetery. This mass transformation of a sacred site, combined with the presence of countless samurai graves from the Edo period, established a strong, protective, and sometimes territorial, spiritual energy. The most famous permanent resident is the final shogun of Japan, Tokugawa Yoshinobu. The shogun's presence is central to the cemetery's haunting. His grave is located in the most secluded, quiet part of the grounds, and it is said that his spirit, alongside those of his retainers, continues to guard the cemetery and the old order he represented. This protective yet stern energy often manifests as a terrifying spiritual blockade. Yanaka is known for its intense sense of being observed. Visitors often feel the undeniable presence of unseen guardians, a sudden, unexplainable need to apologize or bow when passing a grave. The most famous sighting is the shogun's retainer ghost, a tall, silent figure in ancient samurai clothing who walks the perimeter of the shogun's grave, vanishing the moment an observer tries to approach. More frightening are the sounds reported near the old temple bell tower, the clanging of swords and the shouts of ancient soldiers engaged in a phantom, eternal battle, a leftover echo from the violent end of the shogunate era, trapped forever within the trees. 1. Aokigahara Cemetery, near the suicide forest, Yamanashi. We arrive at the ultimate nexus of despair, the vast volcanic plains near Mount Fuji, home to the infamous Aokigahara Jukai, the Sea of Trees. While technically a forest, the dense, isolated groves function as an enormous open-air cemetery, arguably the most haunted and tragic location in all of Japan. The Jukai grew on solidified lava flow, resulting in an unnaturally thick, sound-dampening forest where compasses fail and silence reigns. Historically, the area was associated with ubasute, the folklore practice of abandoning the elderly or sick to die during periods of famine. This ancient suffering laid a profound spiritual foundation of despair. In modern times, Aokigahara has gained global notoriety as one of the world's most frequent suicide sites. The sheer number of intentional, tragic deaths has saturated the forest with a terrifying spiritual residue. The spirits of the newly deceased, known as Jiki-rei, are believed to be trapped in the forest, their sorrowful energy pulling others in. These ghosts are said to be too confused and angry to move on, forever bound to the place of their final, desperate act. The hauntings of Aokigahara are visceral and deeply psychological. Hikers and those entering the periphery report a feeling of intense, crushing gravity, a palpable spiritual force that tries to hold them in place. The most common auditory encounter is the sound of unseen, ragged breathing or faint footsteps moving alongside the living, often accompanied by the feeling of an unseen hand lightly grabbing at clothing, the trapped spirits trying to drag the living off the path. The most terrifying reports come from those who have accidentally found remains. They claim that when they turn to leave, they see the pale, sorrowful face of the deceased apparition, begging them not to leave and to share their eternal silence. These cemeteries hold centuries of sorrow, legends, and restless spirits. Which one would you dare visit?